If you have not checked out my Pacific Division preview for this upcoming NHL season, go watch that after you sit here and watch this Central Division preview. And look out for the Metro coming in the next couple days. Let's start with who I have in number 8 in the Central Division, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. And Blackhawks fans, you should stink this year, but you should stink in a good way. I want this season, I want the Chicago Blackhawks to be the good vibes, but they stink team. Last year was a bad vibes and you are a bad team. But this year, I want to see Bedard explode for 1 million points. I want them to lose the game 7-6. I want Nazer to have a breakout party heading into his brand new contract year. He signed his extension. He's last year on his ELC. Next year, he has the big deal. I want to see him live up to that new contract. I want Ilya Mikheyev. He's probably just going to be Ilya Mikheyev, but I want the kids on this team to have really good seasons. I want Levshunov to be like, oh my God, look at this kid on the back end. We got a right-handed defenseman for the next 10 years in this organization. There's a lot of young, talented players on this roster. They're surrounded by a lot of vets who I can either leave or take. I'm not too hyped on the veteran talent surrounding this young team. I saw how these players like Bertuzzi and Mikheyev and Teravainen and even Ryan Donato played out last year. It wasn't that impressive, but the kids on this team are talented and young, and there's a solid foundation with the Blackhawks. I hope this year we get a bunch of points for these kids in losing efforts, and everybody kind of takes a step in the way that we look at the San Jose roster and that we're so hyped on them, even though they were truly the 32nd team. I hope it's the 32nd team for the Blackhawks this year, and they get another high-round draft pick. Maybe it's McKenna to add to this core. I'm hopeful that they stink in the best way possible. Number 7 that I have ranked in the Central Division are the Nashville Predators, the team I trust least in this entire league to make a smart decision. And I look at the Nashville Predators and I say, this might be the blow-up team. The team where you should probably just trade all of the veteran talent you have and all the assets you have and just like give up on trying to be a contender. That offseason you had an offseason ago, Mr. Barry Trotz, where you brought in Marchessault and Shea and Stamkos. And if I'm in Barry Trotz's position, I would say it might be time to move off of these free agents you signed last offseason, get some assets and restart this thing because it doesn't look bright in Nashville, and I don't have confidence in this team. So I have them in 7th. The next team, I kind of have reluctantly in 6th, but I'm not confident in their lineup, especially their forward group and how young it is. It's the Utah Mammoth I have in 6th place because I look at their team and I say, okay, they're building a great young core around Genther and Cooley and JJ Peterka, who they just got, and they still have Clayton Keller there, who's 27, and then on the back end, they added some talent in Sergachev and Marino and Dursey, and they got a bunch of pieces, but it feels a little, and hold on for this comparison here, it feels a little Buffalo Sabres-y in that you have a bunch of talent there on the roster who hasn't really won at all together. Sergachev was in Tampa on very successful Tampa teams, but I look at the pieces there, the main pieces of this team in Cooley and Genther and Keller and Hayton, and then they bring in Peterka from Buffalo, and it screams to me, young team with not a lot of veteran winners and a lot of inexperience, and it's going to take more time for this to grow into a mature playoff team, especially with what they're delivering down the middle with Cooley, Hayton, McBain, and Stedlin. It's not one of the best center depths in the league. I'm sorry, Utah Mammoth fans. I'm sorry. I just think you're a 6th place team in this division, just outside of the playoffs for this year. Next year, you might grow into a top 4, top 3 team in this division. I'm sorry, I don't see it this season. I may end up eating crow like I did last year with the Winnipeg Jets. We will see. St. Louis comes in at number 5. Teach me how to snuggie. Jimmy Snuggerud, who's going to be playing on the top line right wing for the St. Louis Blues, is my breakout dark horse Calder candidate for this year. I am so high on Mr. Snuggerud, who came in from the University of Minnesota last season, and played 7 games for the St. Louis Blues, and in those 7 games had 4 points, 1 goal, 3 assists. He taught everybody how to snuggie, and he's getting top-line minutes to begin this season. I think he's going to excel in that position. If you're a Leafs fan out there, I know a lot of you listening to this are. He's like their Matthew Nyes in that the university talent who's going to be NHL ready, coming in, playing wing on the first line. Jimmy Snuggerud, everybody. I just want to spend this time on St. Louis to hype him up because he is a part of what I think is one of the deeper forward groups in the Central Division. It's Buchnevich, it's Thomas, it's Holloway, Shen, Kyrou, and then on the third line, you got Pius Suter and Jake Neighbors. Like, this is a really deep forward group, and then on the back end, you got Cam Fowler, who's having a resurgence at the age of 33, getting a lot of respect from around the league. Colton Parayko, who's always been amazing. Broberg, Fault, Tucker, and Mailloux. This is a really good team, and if they get a peak Jordan Binnington, this team is going to be dangerous in the playoffs. They're built to be a team that can run 4 lines in the playoffs, and I think St. Louis is going to have a really good year, coming in at number 5 in this division, but should be the dark horse pick to knock off a couple teams in the playoffs when they get in as a wild card seed. Coming in at number 4 in this division is the Minnesota Wild, who have locked up Kirill Kaprizov from now until infinity for $10 billion every single season, paid all in bonus money. Kaprizov is there, and when Kaprizov is healthy, this is one of the best teams in this division. Last year, he was a Hart Trophy candidate when he was in the lineup, and this team was a first-place team when he was there. And then he got injured, and he played parts of the season, and it was a disaster, and this team was then a disaster. This team will go as far as Kaprizov will take them. They also need, though, really good goaltending out of Philip Gustafsson, and he has been a really good goaltender in the recent seasons, but the Wild are a team that needs to have solid goaltending there to really be successful. I don't think the defense is the strongest in the division, but it is solid with Middleton, Faber, Zebullium, Spurgeon, Juracek, and Bogosian. That's a solid D. I wouldn't put it up there with like 1 or 2, but like it's solid, middle of the pack, top half of the league, 6 D-men they're running out with there. And then the forward groups where you get a little iffy, especially down the middle where you're running Rossi, Eriksson Ek, Ryan Hartman, who I have been on record as saying is just one of the dirtiest players we have. I'm not the biggest fan of the way he plays hockey, but he's a decent third line center. And then we got Sturm on the fourth line. It's a little light down the middle, but like I said, they have Kirill Kaprizov, and that raises the floor of this team. So I'm sticking them in 4th place because it's hard to drop them further down the list when they have a potential Hart Trophy candidate on their first line. Coming in at number 3 is the Colorado Avalanche. You can't tell me that the Colorado Avalanche care at all about the regular season. This is a team that is built to win the Stanley Cup every single year they have Nathan MacKinnon on their roster. Who cares where they finish in this division? I don't think they care where they finish in the division. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a really good team. They're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs because they're going for the Stanley Cup. They got Nichushkin, McKinnon, Nietzsche up front, Landeskog, Nelson, Lehkonen on the second line, Colton, Drury, Olofsson on the third line, Taves and Makar obviously on the top pairing, Girard and Manson on the second pairing, and then they got Wedgwood and Blackwood on IR down there. This is a team who, if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan, I'm sorry you got to sit through 82 games. I'm sure it's going to be fun watching, but all of that's going to be just warm-up for the real season for this team, and that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. I got them in 3rd place in this division because I can see the Winnipeg Jets taking a slight step back and finishing in 2nd in this division on the back of Connor Hellebuck. I don't think Connor Hellebuck, once again, is going to have a Vezina/Hart Trophy year, but I don't see, and I'm not willing to bet, that he takes a step back at all. I got burned into the depths of hell by betting against Connor Hellebuck last year. If you followed along with this channel at all, you know that the Winnipeg Jets Twitter account themselves called me out for my ridiculous take doing these right now, these previews last year where I bet Connor Hellebuck would have an awful season with his save percentage dropping below a 920. And what did he do? He went out and won the Hart Trophy and the Vezina Trophy, and he had an unbelievable season. So what I'm betting on here with the Winnipeg Jets finishing in second place here in this division is that they kind of have a high floor because of how good their goaltending will be. Connor Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi, Perfetti, Taves, Nyquist, Niederreiter, Nemestikov, Iafallo is their top 9 forwards. On defense, they have Morrissey, DeMello, Stanley, Pionk, Fleury, and Shen. And the big injury there, where I talked about Taves playing on their second line, who took a little spill in the preseason there. I hope he's all right. The big injury there in their forward group is Adam Lowry, who should be that second line center, and Taves should be playing a little lower in that lineup on that third line, but Adam Lowry is out. So they are missing Lowry there, but they should be good enough and deep enough to weather that storm and get through this here. We saw how good the Jets could be last season with their spectacular regular season. I think there's more of that coming. It's just a little bit of a step down because you can't expect them to pace at the pace they were pacing last season. But I think Hellebuck's going to carry them to a second place finish in this division. And lastly, number 1 on this list, you know who is left over. That is the Dallas Stars. It's Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen, Steele, Duchesne, Sagan, Wyatt Johnson, Faxa, Bork. They have an unbelievable group of forwards there. On the back end, they got Lindell Heiskanen, Harley Lundqvist, and in net, they have Jake Ottinger. And I think this year is the Jake Ottinger year. I think he's going to be super motivated with the opportunity to maybe take that Team USA starting job away from Connor Hellebuck with outstanding play. I don't see it happening, but that carrot hanging right in front of him has to keep him running on that treadmill to try and chase that opportunity to get that Team USA starting job. And I have Jake Ottinger winning the Vezina Trophy this year with Dallas finishing in first place in this division. I think Dallas is going to have a fantastic regular season. New coach bump as well. If we take a look at their staff there, it is Glenn Gulletson coming in and filling that role that Pete DeBoer left after he was fired, after they made it all the way into the conference finals and lost to the Oilers, and he was let go and he blamed Ottinger on that loss. That was a whole controversy, but Glenn Gulletson's going to come in there and I think have this team firing on all cylinders. I can't bet against the Dallas Stars. Every single year, they are in this thing, potentially chasing, trying to get that Stanley Cup, that elusive cup that they look like they're so close to so many years in getting. And I hope they don't end up like the 2010s-ish San Jose Sharks, who go on so many deep playoff runs and then don't end up winning the thing. Like this year with Rantanen, I think it's going to be an awesome year for these Sharks, especially with that Duchesne deal that looks so good too. Rantanen full season, Robertson, Hintz. It's going to be a good year to be a Dallas Stars fan. I have them winning the Central Division, Ottinger winning the Vezina. That is my preview of the Central Division. Let me know where you got your teams landing in the Central. If you have not watched my Pacific Division preview, go watch that now that this thing is over. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you'll be watching or listening right now, and I appreciate you for that. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report YouTube channel, and I will see you at 4 p.m. on Saturday on the SDPN YouTube channel for a live watch-along of the Jays versus Yankees series, game number 1 of the ALDS. I will see you then. Good night from Toronto.